And they are back. Anti-India slogans, Pro Khalistan slogans on the streets. Where else but in Canada? This time in the presence of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Prime Minister Trudeau was at an event in Toronto. This was to attend the Khalsa Day celebration. It's a Sikh community event which is celebrated with full fervour. Prime Minister Trudeau spoke at this gathering and gave out a Sikh greeting. Vaheguru Ji da Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji di Fateh. It's popular within India too, of course. But when Prime Minister Trudeau came on the stage, within seconds, a loud section in the crowd started to shout Khalistan slogans. Political and provocative. It has symbolism which is beyond the religious flavour. Prime Minister Trudeau by now knows the difference between Khalistan slogans and Sikh community slogans. Or so I hope he does, having spent considerable time with the community in the past few years. So what did he do in return? He smiled and appeared to even say a yes to those Khalistan slogans. Now I would say a guest has no control over the sloganeering in the audience, and why would he want to stop that? But reports said it wasn't just about the sloganeering. There were posters in the same event in the eye view of these leaders. The posters against External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, calling them as the killers of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, even though there is no solid evidence yet behind these charges. So this means that there were elements within the audience that could again pose a serious political and diplomatic showdown with India. And Canadian Prime Minister's security detail did nothing to alert it, did nothing to avoid it, and the leader himself on stage did nothing to stop it. Will this not be seen as an approval to permit an anti-India narrative on Canadian soil? It's not just a rally for the Sikh community, I realized. It clearly appeared to be an anti-India rally. So expectedly, tensions rose again. The Indian government expressed disapproval of the extremist activity in the presence of Canadian leaders and therefore summoned the Canadian Deputy High Commissioner. But this is not the first time that Indian diplomats or ministers' images have been put out in public, encouraging violence against them, calling them killers, serving ambassadors' images being put on posters as murderers. Imagine the threats that they face as they currently serve the country on a foreign soil, plus the concern for their families with them. All of this with no solid evidence against them. Ever since 2023 specifically, Khalistan posters charging against India have been especially seen in Toronto, after Prime Minister Trudeau's speech in the Parliament referring to credible allegations that India is involved in killing Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Situation has not been the best between the two nations. Is this a quest to secure a certain vote bank that a dangerous game is emerging and is being allowed to play on? The Canadian soil is possibly being misused and is becoming a haven, not for asylum seekers or refugees, but sadly, some supporters of Pakistan-backed terror plans against India. The Sikh community has been India's backbone. Their contribution, strength and patriotism has ensured that India remains safe always. They are the soldiers on our borders, they are leaders in culture and art and music, they are contributors in Indian policy making and diplomacy. They are leaders in corporate industry within India and abroad. And that by simply being incredible Indians. In India's Punjab, Sikhs have a strong authority in politics and in society. And always remember, Khalistanis aim for India's side of Punjab, not Pakistan's Punjab, where two of the most glorious and significant gurdwaras are located, and where Sikhs are in fact persecuted and targeted. The anger somehow, for some strange reason, is not aimed at Pakistan, but always against India. That raises a lot of questions, isn't it? But my fear or concern is not just for India. Because of this space being ceded to extremists in Canada, there are divisions emerging within the Indian diaspora in Canada, between the Hindu and the Sikhs in Canada. Tensions have erupted within the Sikh community also because most Sikhs do not advocate this extremist secessionist ideology which is negative and is against India. Canada is home to one of the largest Indian diaspora, accounting for about 1.4 million of the country's total 40 million population. Out of these, 1.4 million people of Indian origin in Canada, about 7,70,000 are said to be from the Sikh community, according to the reports that surface. Amid all of this, thankfully, there are some members of the Sikh community in Canada. They are noticing the radicalization and they are trying to speak against it, which is sometimes also about taking huge risk on their own life. But they are sharing videos. They are confronting of how this extremist view has made its way into the gurdwaras in Canada, into religious non-political spaces, which are supposed to be about learning and entitlement, but is turning into the den of misinformation, den of hate against India and specifically against Hindus. You may think that what happened at the Khalsa Day celebration or the Baisakhi event is how these days are celebrated. No. To look at the essence of Sikh celebrations, look at the land here in India where Sikhism was born, where Sikh gurus have lived and led. There is color, culture, prayers and celebration, and there is happiness. And there is a call for peace, to stand together in respect of the shared history of the two communities. And I can assure you that many Hindus participate in the Khalsa Day celebrations or the Baisakhi celebrations, which are about India's history and culture. So as I conclude, Hindus and Sikhs share a common bond of historical facts and ethos. So let's hope that people realize this and will not let the extremists to partition India. Not again, not anymore. Thank you.